I just saw Godzilla Minus One in theaters, and I really thought it was fantastic, and I had a lot to say about it. So here we are. I love the Godzilla franchise. I've been a big fan for a long, long time, and I've literally sat through all of the Toho movies. I think I've watched basically all the movies except for the anime ones, which I heard weren't that good anyway. But I've really sat through the good and the bad with this franchise. There are obviously some fantastic earlier Godzilla movies, but I'm a fan of those for different reasons than I'm a fan of this. This feels like a lot more of a movie that anyone can watch and really understand what the appeal of Godzilla is. And I think Godzilla Minus One may be in contender for the best Godzilla movie ever. And I really didn't look into anything about this one. I knew that it was set closer to the Second World War, but I knew it was just gonna be a Godzilla movie, and I just went in with an open mind. Right from the very beginning of the movie, you're set into the action, and I felt like I immediately understood what kind of movie this was going to be. I'm not really sure if we've ever really seen a Godzilla movie with this much destruction in this sort of context. The way that every step he makes buckles the floor, like the pavement beneath him shatters, and the way that the buildings just tumble around him, it really is impressive, especially in a full theater. The analog his ray has to a true nuclear bomb is horrifying. There were parts where I was honestly like jaw agape, like that was insane. It is honestly shocking. And I don't think I've ever felt like that with a Godzilla movie. I felt like there were long stretches of the movie where I was just staring in shock at how much destruction was being portrayed. See, a long-running issue that a lot of fans and newcomers have with the series are long, boring sections with the humans just talking about things and trying to figure out what to do about Godzilla and the other kaiju. That's why you get movies that are sort of like Godzilla Final Wars, where it's just constant, non-stop, brain-melting action, or the American movies like Godzilla King of the Monsters. Though as much as I do kind of enjoy those sillier, more action-focused movies in the series, I find that if you add stakes to the human characters and use them to move the plot, it can really make the movies in the series special. But in Minus One, I feel like they've really figured it out. The character motivations all felt really meaningful and deliberate. There is a level of melodrama to the characters and their acting, but considering the circumstances, I feel like it just makes sense. The post-World War II setting adds so much to the drama and desperation of the characters. You get a real sense that the world that they occupy is filled with a lot of strife and pain, and I think the way that they handled it was really well done. So this is going to step into a little bit of spoiler territory. This is like not just a great Godzilla movie, but a great movie in general. If you're planning to see this movie, and I highly recommend that you do, you can stop now, no hard feelings. The thing that puts this on the upper echelon, along with some of the best in the series, is the way they use the character of Godzilla as a metaphor for bigger subjects in the real world. Obviously, in the original movie, Godzilla was used as a metaphor for the bomb and America, but his use as a metaphor has changed a lot over the years, almost becoming somewhat of a superhero and a symbol of Japan itself, but more recently being used as something of a metaphor for the earthquakes that led to the disaster in Fukushima. In Shin Godzilla, the movie is used as a response to problems that the government faced while trying to deal with the disaster. So I think in a really smart way, Godzilla Minus One reuses Godzilla as a metaphor, not just for the bomb or the United States, but instead as a metaphor for survivor's guilt. So the main character, Koichi, is faced with immense survivor's guilt after meeting a younger Godzilla that's not yet been exposed to radiation and failing to kill the monster before a lot of his allies are mauled to death. And he comes back to Tokyo to realize that his family has passed away and he's lost so much, and he has nothing left but these photos of the mechanics who passed away. He's tormented by these dreams, and I think it's beautifully done how the main character Koichi's guilt is represented by this monster. And everyone is offloading their grief onto him, and he feels personally responsible because he probably could have, killed Godzilla before it grew into the monster that it is. I thought that was such a cool way to twist the formula and make it more personal. And I think that's part of the reason why you care so much more about the characters in this one as opposed to a lot of the other Godzilla movies. It's so smart, and it's not just the only way they show this theme. A lot of the other characters in the city blame him for not bringing victory back to their home. And at the end of the movie, many of the ex-Navy officers return to the ships to help handle this situation because they feel very much the same way that Koichi does. They have a lot of unfinished business and a lot of survivor's guilt. I really loved how at the end of the movie, when Godzilla's defeated, instead of cheering, they all just salute Godzilla. Because at first glance, it might seem like they're saluting like a powerful enemy they've defeated in combat, but I think that they're really saluting, the end of the war. They're finally feeling like at rest, that they're able to send off and become free of their guilt. And they found some level of peace for themselves. It's just so good. I think it's amazing that a character that's so much older than basically all other majorly popular media franchises today can still release such a thoughtful and awe-inspiring and horrifying film. Godzilla Minus One is a film that has so much more to say than you might think, and as a fan of the series, I couldn't have asked for more. I think it's so great that Toho has released this one and Shin Godzilla a few years ago that both take the core concept of Godzilla into bold new directions.
Godzilla Minus One.
I don't typically cover movies on this channel, and I don't really plan on talking about movies too much in the future, but if you've seen the movie, let me know what you thought about it, and I'd love to know if you had your own interpretation of the story. And thanks for watching.